Hi everyone, welcome. This is Roxanne with you today, and I want to say thank you guys for subscribing. And if you're viewing and you still have not subscribed, please go ahead, share, and subscribe. All right, so today I want to talk to you on the topic of grief and loss. And I don't know if you've seen the previous video on grief and loss, and I touched on the stages of grief, but today I'm going to be doing the subtopic of some of the truths about divorce. Remember, divorce is actually the death of a marriage, and it's also considered to be a form of grief and loss because you're grieving the loss of a marriage, or it's a loss of a relationship. So I want to touch on that a bit, and I want to give some helpful tips for persons who are experiencing or going through a divorce process. All right, so one of the things that I want to say in terms of the truth, one of the truths about divorce is it's similar to the experiences of death, where someone is actually grieving the loss of someone who died. And so the stages of grief are pretty much applicable to the grieving stage of divorce. So first of all, people experience things like one, anger. So they're very, angry about the situation. Their marriage is falling apart. Their marriage has died. So that anger is there. So you also have that period where people are in denial as well. So they're like, they know it's over, but they experience, trying to face that is so difficult. So they'll just pretend that this is not happening. This can't be my marriage. I'm not going through this, right? So that denial can actually take place similar to what happens when someone dies. And then you have that period where people are actually, they're bargaining. They're trying to say, well, I'll do anything not to actually face this reality that my marriage is falling totally apart, and then you have that period of depression. People are going through this stage and they're experiencing, they want to be left alone. They feel so isolated. They feel hurt. They feel lost. There's a sense of hopelessness and despair. So they're experiencing a form of depression as they process, and as they go through this divorce season. So, this is definitely, again, something that's evident for so many persons who have gone through divorce or were actually experiencing divorce. And finally, there's that stage where people are coming to a sense of acceptance. So they're recognizing that, their marriage is actually over, it's gone, it's lost. So they have to now come to terms with that, and they're slowly accepting that. All in all, the difficulty of divorce, it is a very painful experience, and people actually they spend such a long time in that stage of depression because it's a very painful process to go through. So I really want to help someone out there who is actually experiencing divorce, who have gone through it, and they want to talk just some more about what are some things that we can actually do to help ourselves. So that's one truth of divorce. It can really be applicable to the stages of grief and loss that was just mentioned. Another truth about divorce is that even though marriage has fallen apart and two people are actually separating, they're splitting, you'll find that families and friends, they're also divorced. They're experiencing that divorce as well. So people are just separated, and you'll find that people will do things like they'll take position, they'll take a side when divorce has taken place, and without recognizing there were true friendships, there were relationships that were there in the midst of the marriage. But after marriage has fallen apart, then those friendships, those relationships are actually ripped apart. And that is very difficult, not only for the persons who are going through the process of divorce, but friends and families too. They feel a sense of loss and isolation as well. So, it's important for people to really recognize what are some of the difficulties that people actually face when they're going through divorce, and what are some helpful things that can be done. That's certainly one of the truths of divorce. We also have another truth about divorce. People experience some overwhelming emotions while they go through divorce. And these emotions are things like guilt. You know, there's a lot of guilt. People feel that their marriage is, lost. So they're feeling very guilty about that. Did I put out enough effort in this one? Did things did not work out? People also experience just a lot of anger as well. I'm so mad. Why me? Why do I have to? And that was, similar to the stages of grief. People do actually go through that. And sometimes people actually feel that sense of humiliation. They feel a sense of shame, because, a marriage has really fallen apart, and it's really fills persons with that feeling of just being embarrassed or humiliated. And the important thing is for us, if we go through these and we experience these negative emotions, we are able to process them. Where we have a safe space where we can actually process these emotions and get some really great help to work through these as well. And that's another truth about experiences of divorce and the truth of the matter of divorce. Another truth of divorce, and so many persons tend to overlook this, if children are involved in a marriage and then divorce takes place, children actually go through some of the difficulties of these stages of grief and loss. So they experience denial, they experience anger, they experience, like not wanting this to happen, the bargaining stage. They also, experience that depression. And then sometimes if they're getting that kind of help and support, many of them will come to a place of acceptance. The difficulty of this stage, people don't spend enough time to really guide and to really support the children as they go through. They're caught up with the adults. They're caught up with sometimes the challenges that are faced with the process of divorce. And so the little ones, the gems, the future of our society, they're actually they're left alone to suffer. They're left alone to go through this difficult period by themselves. And it can be hard. It can be so hard to see a child just kind of grieve and they're not fully able sometimes, or most times they're not able to really verbalize what they're feeling. And so they'll act out in school, they'll act out, at home as well. They become very aggressive. They'll do things like, talk back, they'll fight. These are just signs of, they want to say more. They're experiencing these emotions that they're not able to really express, and they are not given the opportunity as well to express. So they'll do everything that maybe parents or adults don't even want to see them do. So it's very important, as kids are also experiencing this the stages of grief, and that they also get that kind of support that they need while they're going through this too. So those are some really, very important truths about divorce, right? So I want you to really spend some time to think about it. But if you're going through this, or someone else who have, been through this and they need some additional help and support, it's very important to get that. But what are some helpful tips? What are some things that people can actually do while they're processing divorce? Now, first and foremost, it's very critical that you get the help to process the difficult emotions and the stages that you're going through. So, you want to find someone who you're comfortable enough, friends. Not everyone might be that friend who will truly understand what you're going through. So you get the kinds of friends that you need to actually process and speak to. But having that support is great, but it's even more important for us to get that professional help that we really need, because you need perhaps a space where you can actually feel guided. You get supportive tools and skills. You get helpful skills to help you through this difficult transition. So I'd encourage you, just get that formal support, get a therapist and help them. They'll help you rather to work through these experiences that you've never really thought you would be going through. So another thing that that's very important and critical. Your self-care is going to be very important, and it means sometimes you don't feel to do this, but you're going to be doing things for you. You're going to do things to actually fill your cup. Your cup has been broken or empty, but it's time to actually put into yourself. So get into everything that's going to help you to, just to be stronger. Just engage yourself again. And it's a slow process. If it's reading for you, make sure you get into the quiet space where you're actually reading. You're actually doing your gardening, you're doing your painting, you're doing your workouts, you're taking care of you, and you're filling, that cup. It's going to be important to help you to keep going. Even though most persons might experience that period of depression, they don't want to talk, they don't want to socialize, they don't want to engage. But it's going to be important for you to actually do the complete opposite. Get out, actually force yourself if you have to, force yourself to get out and do things. That's going to help you to get through, this particular transition. So, that's another one that I would encourage you to do. Another thing that I wanted you to ensure that you're doing, make sure that you're getting that adequate help that you need in terms of rest and relaxation. Make sure that you're getting rest and relaxation. Sometimes people are traumatized, especially they've been through divorce, and they've gone through that period of anger, and it can be so hurtful sometimes. But it's very important for us to really step away from everything and spend time just to really relax a bit, and also to make sure that you're getting adequate sleep, rest. That rest is going to be very also important to filling that cup up a bit more. And if you can't sleep, maybe you're going to need something to enhance sleep a bit. So you may perhaps have to speak to your doctor, or just to kind of get something additional to help you to sleep, because that rest is going to be very critical. So those are certainly some of the truths about divorce. It's a very difficult process. It's like you're grieving, just like the death of a loved one. And there's that sense of persons are being pulled apart, families and friends are actually torn apart. Not only the persons who are experiencing divorce, and another truth, children tend to be overlooked, and so these are some things just for us to be aware of. But there's certainly hope. There's certainly things that we can do as we process and we go through at such a difficult time. So getting adequate support that you need, making sure that you're going through your therapy to get that individual strength that you need. Also making sure that you are engaging in relaxation and things that will kind of strengthen you, just filling your cup a bit. And last but not least, you are going to be making sure that you're doing everything to rest, to sleep, and just to engage yourself in a positive way. So those are just a few of the tips. But one thing I want to end with, as this is going to be the wrap, I want to say to you as an affirmation, there is life and hope even after divorce. There is life and hope even after divorce. All right, so that's a wrap. So I hope to see you next time.